Okay, hello. I gave my talk the title Internet of Things as a Design Material. That's something I want to talk about, so that's of course, well, we'll see what's all about that. First, I'm working at the Internet Agency in Amsterdam, running the innovation lab, doing all kinds of stuff with the new developments, the future the things, and also make it practical for our designers and our other employees. I was educated as industrial design engineer and always working in the field of digital, so it's nice that it comes together now again. Well, you know where we're talking about. I think the term Internet of Everything even more better saying what we are doing. We are adding the things to the things we had already. We saw it in a presentation this morning also. And services people, things are the next thing. And it's interesting not to see, not to look to what's happening in technology or numbers, but more what's happening in how services and products are behaving, of course. This is a graph I use from some years now because it's saying something about services, but it's also saying something about products. We are moving from a publication oriented to a social, to a U-web, a web where everything is customized, adapting to your profile, to the data you are exhausting. And Google is, of course, the profound example for this, with the Now service. And if you are a client of Google, if you're using Google, and who doesn't, you will probably be profiled by them, and they will predict what you like in the next hour, in the next day, in the next year. If you liked it, I don't know, but well, they're doing it. And we will see that also in products. This is a very simple example from Russell Davis that made a board where he can see you. He lives in the middle of the three lights, and he can see in the color of the lights of which station he has to take to get in the metro, subway in London. But it's only working for him at that spot where he lives. He made it himself with an Arduino and that kind of stuff. But products will behave like this more and more. And we're creating smart things. That's the thing. And what is the design of smart things? And Alexandra Deschamps-Sonsino has there some interesting thoughts on that. Understanding context and state, where we talking about just now, but also growing old gracefully, not just being that product at that time, but you have a history. You create an history in that product, the data, and also how can you forget all the things and stuff and adapt. Well, interesting thoughts, and we will see some of that maybe later also. And well, I was talking about design and the Internet of Things, and what is then design? Where, well, you can go into very deeply, and I won't do that. But this quote I like a lot from Jack Schultz from Berg. He says, design is about solving problems, but that does everyone's solving problems like a dentist. And design is more about a cultural invention. So what he means, I think, is that we do more than just solving a problem as a designer. We try to add meaning to a function. So that's very interesting to look with this view to the Internet of Things. And we see now that 2030 as the heydays of the Internet of Things, as it's getting bigger and bigger, and you see all kind of marketing gadgets emerge like this. And now that if you add some connection, it is the Internet of Things. I don't know, but this one, as example, is a button you can stick on your fridge, and if you click on the button, a pizza will be delivered by the pizza delivery agency. So it is connected product, but it's not really adding any meaning, of course, but it's fun. Okay, it's nice. This is another example what's happening a lot also in the Netherlands. This is in London, where you have screens on dustbins, and these screens are smart screens, so they put all kind of information on it, even about public transport and stuff. But it doesn't really have to do anything with the dustbin, of course. So this is also not really, I think, something with meaning. What you see, and it was also something that was the Philips guy talking about this morning, about the product plus or the vertical optimizing stuff. Design for optimizing is, I think, one of the things that we see a lot happening now. And well, maybe I'm wrong. We'll hear it later. But we have we're trying to optimize current systems in the first sense. And we try to make new, better interfaces. We make new understanding of things by adding this connectiveness to products. But if you go further and you really rethink a product, like Nest did, I think it's an example that is used a lot, but it's also a very good example. It learns from your behavior. It tries to also learn you some new behavior, and it turns out that people are already using less energy. Well, it's a slight difference, but well, I think it's interesting to think about these differences. And it's not about sustainability only. We have a lot of sustainability concept, but also about just disrupting a product or a system. And we made this app for green wheels, so you can now open your car with your app if you're standing next to it. So with geofencing and all kind of connections, very smart, I think very nice, but it's just optimizing the current state of the car and the way it works. Green Wheels is a subscription-based car where you can you lend a car instead of you own one. And I think Car2Go goes, of course, a bit further because the way you can get a car every moment. You can look at your app. You can find a car if you want at the moment you like. It's really changing the way I, for myself, use mobility in a city. So it's really making a different product and different belief. So that's interesting. So the essence is when that connecting is really adding or generates new meaning to it. And that connecting is a very key concept, and I think that's very nicely to see in this Uber, just to keep in the mobility sphere. In this Uber thing, I don't know if you know Uber, but it's a taxi service. It's coming from America. And it's all private drivers have free space in the cars, and they can sell that to people that want a taxi. And you have a very high quality taxi it's all set. It's a very good app. You look at the app, you see cars drive, and you say, I want a cab. But the interesting thing is that the system, the connected system, is made by 2 iPhones, because the driver has also an iPhone with his own app. But the car is not connected, just like we saw this morning, all kinds of connected cars, but no. It's just putting an iPhone in the car and you have a connected car. And you can see all the kind of intelligence, and this is different approaches. The connecting is the important part, not that you connect the car to the internet. So it's interesting to think about, if you think on Internet of Things, about how to think about disconnecting it from the things, not just about the connections. And this is a model Rob van Kranenburg made a couple of years ago. What I like a lot, to put reactive and proactive next to each other. You have reactive Internet of Things. That is, well, we connect products together, we connect things together, and the value is in the connections. We show the connections, we make nice visualizations, we give insights, we give feedback loops. That's all nice, all good, but it's not really changing the things at itself. And then the other concept, the proactive one, is more that you say, well, the product and the connections is one system, and it creates a new product together. And well, that's interesting to see that difference. And how can you make that? So, as last in this point, also the iPhone or the Pebble, I have a Pebble watch. All this connected stuff is not the Internet of Things, of course. It's just a hub to make things connected. And well, we see this also before the Philips Hue. It's a nice thing. It's an optimized lamp of an optimized lighting system where you can do a lot, and it's very good start. But it's not really thinking about what does connections and lights with you. And I think this Good Night lamp is an interesting step in that sense. It's a startup that's trying to make a lamp that is. You can have, if you have it in different homes, you can connect through the lamp, and it has no screen, it has nothing. You make your own function on that. It's just a provider function. And just watch the time. Yeah, that's okay. You can also see it as the difference between designing or styling, maybe. You say, well, we're going to design something, we're going to really think about the product and what do we want to achieve with that, or are we just adding some form, some color onto it. So we see a lot of this kind of styling IoT, I think, in the coming time, and that's not wrong because it's just a way of in the growth of this thing. But like this Adidas is, I think, released last week or something. They put all sensors in the ball and in the soccer ball, and you can see what's happening with the ball on the field. It's very nice. I think it will be a great experience to see all this data. But maybe if it's going to change the game or the way we play the game and the rules, then it will become really interesting. So design materials, if you can look to this, that was where I started off with, is in essence, I think it's three main elements, and it's to think if you start thinking about this new propositions, so new products, to think about what is the connected ecosystem meaning for this product. What can you really make from that, and you make also always things that are more dynamic, that are not one state or one is changing over time, just like Alexander said. It has to learn to grow old. It has to be, and so you have to make rules for that. You have scripts, and that's also creating some playfulness in it. I hope Ben will be here to tell something about that more also. And data, of course, well, we have heard a lot about it. I'm not going too deep. We will see a nice data concept later, I think. But what can you do with data, and how can data that is exhausting from the use helping in this whole product and what you are designing? I like the book from Mike Kuniavsky, Smart Objects, where he is really saying, well, data is a design material, but I think it's something more, not only data, but what you do with it also. Now, another aspect is a tool. A tool is design fiction. Is also a lot to do about now. I think I'm not going too deep into that, but it's very. You see a lot of these movies around where you can see what happens. It is hard to imagine what it will deliver when you make and think of a new product. But also that can be very different. You see a lot of this on the right. That's really thinking from, well, we are now in this world, and in 5 years we're in a totally different world. And I don't think that's really realistic. I think this one is one of the few that I found that is really mixing up new stuff in the old environment and doing that very nicely. So if you have time to watch this very nice movie. I'm not going to show you now, it's 10 minutes long. I thought it was nice to take it to this project very quickly. It's how we Tim is also in the room. He made this together with Info and Springtime, a 3D agency. We made this product service combination where we had the starting point to make a social music player. No, not a social, a music player for kids between 10 to 12, something like that. So we had to think, what is that? What Tim did, and it's very important, of course, to start thinking about what is really the meaning of the product for this. That's the starting. It's just like surface design. Indeed, it's very important here in context mapping. What were you doing, and where is it used? Where will the product be used? So you're really thinking about and designing the system and the usage, and really not thinking about the product and the interfaces and that kind of stuff. And you try to keep that till the end. And that's also the hard part. It's a hard part to. You start at the moment thinking about products and about interactions and interfaces, but you have to keep in mind the whole system all the time, and that's the learning from all the projects you do in this field. How can you focus on the designing of the system all the time? But we made a very it works very well. Yeah, it's a prototype still. We have to make it to the next phase in production. You see, all these wires is not for in the real situation, but that's nice. It really does something in the context of the use of music for these children. That's different than as we listen to music as older people. So that's what I think is very important. This context mapping, journeys, making the service design principles are very helpful for this kind of products, and keeping that system in hand. So to wrap it up, I think always that it's this very nice, of course, mantra. How you say that in English? From Raymond Loewy, a very old industrial designer, he always said, well, you have to try to make the most advanced that you can make, pushing the boundaries, but you have to get your users with you. You have to make it acceptable. So we can think now on all this very new stuff, but we have to make stuff that also is understandable. And Tom Coates used that also and added this thing in a beautiful presentation if you have the chance. And you like this solution. He has done a presentation last year. It's on Vimeo, and he said, well, you have to think about the future of network-able products is the product. We have to think not as a product and a network product. We have to think as the products are networked, and it is happening now. So, with that, and think about design, system, and play, and try to create something to optimize in first place and meaning if you have the chance. That would be nice. That would be my start. Well, 16. 1 minute over.
50 minutes sharp.